to have... Can you hear me? Hello? Dave? There doesn't seem to be any sound. Okay. Good morning. This one? Oh. Yeah, there it is. Water would be a great idea. Good morning. Good morning. We'll get started in a couple of minutes as soon as the rabbis settle down.
Just going to put a little more water.
Okay, let's get started so we can. Let's get started. I just want to make sure that everyone who's here has checked in with Carol Ann at the door, because we just need to keep track of who's here in terms of being members and eligible to vote. And we welcome anyone who isn't a member. They're just not eligible to vote.
Memberships are on special this month.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to call this AGM to order. Good morning and welcome to all. Thank you for the time that you are investing in Or Shalom by attending this AGM this morning. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm not sure when the last time is that everybody looked at the agenda. There were a couple of last-minute changes that were made on the agenda, but I just want to make sure that everybody is up to date. We do have to have a motion to change the number of board members from 10 to 9, because we have 9 members on the slate this year. The second item is that Abby Fitch, Russell Wong, and myself are actually entering the second of our 2-year term, so we are not standing for re-election. And the people standing for re-election are Avril Orloff and Jody Eaton. And the last item was an addition to the committee reports, and that was the renovation committee report that was added.
Security as well. Here's the latest.
Oh,
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, so renovation and expansion report and the security committee report. So those are just 2 minor changes. And also, Rabbi Arik will provide his kavanah as well as his report at the same time, and the report from the chair will be after that. Okay, so we need to have a motion to accept the previous AGM minutes that were attached to the agenda. If we can have someone move. Mira, We only need one person to move. We have this weird thing where we don't need a seconder. Is there anyone who's opposed? Okay, so the motion has been passed. So at this point, I will call on Rabbi Arik to provide his kavanah and his report. Do you want to sit?
Still getting my voice back after being a little ill this past week and a big simcha yesterday. Yasher koach to all of us, and especially to the Simchat Mitzvah students. Good morning, everyone. Last year, our AGM took place the week of Lech Lecha, and we were on the precipice of taking a journey into the unknown. We knew that within the next several months we would be packing up our bayit and moving to a place in which we did not know. I remember saying last year that at the AGM meeting that a journey like this into the unknown, as logistically complicated as it is, will bring with it new discoveries and growth that is only possible when we leave the familiar. 4 months later, we packed up our home like Avram and Sarah, and we set out on a journey. We walked our Torah scrolls through the city streets and danced them into our new temporary home, greeted by our hosts with joy and anticipation. We are immensely fortunate to have such gracious hosts here at Cityview. They've created a warm and welcoming space for us, and we have made it our home. Even though it is temporary, aren't all of our homes temporary? And we are reminded of this on a weekly basis when we gather here. In fact, the temporary nature of our home has given us the opportunity to rediscover who we are in the solid foundation of Or Shalom. Not a foundation of concrete, but a foundation of people, bound together by a shared purpose. Jewish renewal is not just a descriptive title. It is a paradigm shift. It is an embodied Jewish practice that people experience the moment they come into our home. Each gathering we have in this building is a testimony to the heart of Or Shalom, to what happens when we gather together with our heart, with curiosity, with openness, and with authenticity. It's not unusual for me to meet someone who comes into Or Shalom and they tell me that they've been looking for a Jewish expression like this. And if only they had known about Jewish renewal or Shalom, they would have been here years ago. Our presence here in Vancouver holds a vital connection for those people who find their way into our doors and find their home here. Yes, we have lost members due to attrition or political differences. This will always be the case. But when I look at the people that we have attracted in these years, the people that are finding Or Shalom and know that this is the home they've been looking for, I'm continuously affirmed in our mission and purpose. I want to say that I am honored to have completed the first year of my tenure here at Or Shalom as your full-time rabbi. There were many firsts this year, and they were all a wonderful reflection of a growing relationship that is being forged between me and this community. From high holidays to each celebratory simcha, from our Cascadian services to our monthly Kabbalat Shabbat, every step of the way is a moment in which my relationship with this community grows and expands. And it wasn't all joyful moments in this last year. There were difficult moments for sure. There were tragedies, there were moments in people's lives that we held together, as well as holding our community together through still one of the most difficult times that we have ever experienced. I am still feeling the amazement from the simcha that simply happened yesterday here at Or Shalom. When I spoke to a few of our founding members after the service, they all had the same sentiments. John first put it best. He said, "Now I could take a breather, knowing that the future of our community is in good hands." What we witnessed together is the inspired leadership that is coming out of this community. We are not just serving the needs of our current membership, but we are attracting and inspiring the leaders of the next generation. None of this would be possible without the phenomenal leadership of all of those who have been involved, of the board, of the committees, and of the amazing, dedicated staff at the core of Or Shalom. I know that Tracy and Katie are not here today in person, and I doubt they're even here on Zoom. If they are, then I want to just acknowledge the dedication that the two of them and the three of us together that they put forth on a daily basis to making sure that Or Shalom thrives on a daily basis. 5786 will be quite a year for us. The combination code of our old alarm system, I hope I'm not giving away too much here, was the year that we bought the building, the Bayit, 5753. Who knows if we will keep that combination, but from this moment forward, the year 5786 will be another year in which we recognize a new chapter in the life of this community. We have undertaken one of the largest financial projects that this community has ever seen during one of the most challenging periods of our history. Our fringe shul, the community that started in people's living rooms, is soon going to re-inhabit an expanded facility that will enable the younger generation and the founding generation of our community to continue to thrive, to continue to celebrate, and continue to build community. I am so excited that this year will be bringing something that we have all been waiting for a long time. And as we continue this journey, as we continue to learn and to grow as we are temporary guests in this home, it is not without the great anticipation of what it will feel like to be permanent residents as permanent can be, in our bite, with the immense dedication of those who have helped this project to take place, to be successful. So, with that, I want to wish all of us an amazing year ahead. And I also want to once again thank all those, including our board chair and the board and all those committee members who are a part of today and a part of the tachlis, the details that require this community to keep going. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Miriam has asked rather than clapping, in order to respect the ongoing service upstairs, that we use our twinkle fingers to acknowledge anything that we'd like to. Thank you, Miriam. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I think I know everybody, but I'm Dalia Marguerite Faircloth, the chair of the board of directors of Or Shalom, and I would just like to begin with the land acknowledgement, which has been a part of our work, of the Tikkun Olam Committee's work for the last number of years. And so I just wanted to say that Or Shalom Synagogue is located on the unceded, ancestral, and traditional lands of Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, who have protected and stewarded the sacred territory for over 10,000 years. Acknowledging Indigenous peoples' history, spirituality, languages, and cultures, we commit to ongoing restorative action inspired by Indigenous wisdom and leadership. And I also want to thank Cityview for allowing us to use the space during their services. It just, after looking at a lot of other spaces, this seemed like the most logical and simple way to do this annual general meeting. In reviewing the minutes from our last AGM, it is clear to me that we are continuing along the trajectory and plan that we set out for ourselves last year. Highlights are that our renovation project is proceeding well, our rabbinic leadership transition has been smooth, and our many and varied activities are proceeding well. You can read all about the actual work being done by our many committees in the committee reports, and we will have an opportunity to hear more later this morning if we wish. There is also an impact report that was put together by our former executive director that is available to everyone to see the nuts and bolts of what has been happening in this community for the last 18 months to 2 years. So I'm not going to talk about all that again. In my Yom Kippur address, I mentioned many of the accomplishments achieved over the last year, and I don't think it's necessary to repeat them. I want to focus on two particular items for the future that are coming up this year. I'm absolutely delighted to let you know that Sally Thorne will be taking on the challenge of co-chairing this remarkable community with me for the next year. Usually, the executive is approved by a new board at the first board meeting. However, the co-chair position has been vacant for a good part of this year, and the current board has heartily endorsed Sally taking on the position. So it seemed to make sense to mention it at this AGM, and I am absolutely delighted. I'm looking forward to sharing the honor of serving this community with Sally for 1 year. Secondly, I want to talk about the new initiative that was introduced to the community at the High Holy Days, the concept of Mishkan circles. This is what I'm talking about. I hope you all had the opportunity to review the beautiful posters of the idea. They remind me of the Sfirot of the Kabbalah, actually. The challenge of volunteerism in communities is ongoing and eternal. The concept of Mishkan circles was developed to address this challenge, and the board has heartily endorsed it. Kudos to Katie Ormiston for visioning the idea, and to Rabbi Arik and Katie for bringing it to life. It is bold and it is big, and it will take time to implement. It addresses multiple dimensions of community building and will be introduced over the next several months. The invitation to join circles of interest will be offered over time, and the hope is that the gift of giving and receiving will be taken up by many of our members. Now is the time to review the various Mishkan circles and explore which of them appeals to you. The choices are vast, and I am sure that the rewards will be too. What speaks to you? What gifts do you have to offer? Nourishment and food, tech support, prayer and ritual, song. The process will unfold over time, directed and encouraged by the staff. Be patient and be ready. As always, a heartfelt thanks to all who make this community tick. Our staff, Rabbi Arik, Tracy Fagg, and Katie Ormiston, assisted by many volunteers who help with tech, training, leading, praying, organizing, repairing, caring for, and helping in so many ways. To the incredibly devoted members of the board, thank you for your wisdom and leadership. As you're all aware, our executive director resigned a couple of months ago, and it has really fallen to the board to pick up all the nuts and bolts of things that had to happen. And the board members stepped forward in the most incredible way during a very, very intense time of life in the Jewish community. So I am really, really very, very grateful to the writers and the creators and the checkers and the people who got the messages out to the community. And to you, the membership, for showing up, for encouraging, for asking difficult questions, for wrestling and for participating, and most especially for your friendship. May we continue from strength to strength. So that's my report. At this point, I'm just going to hand it over to Russell, to Jane. Sure. Let me just get you the microphone.
I'm just wondering whether there are any plans to bring in somebody else as an executive director.
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, that is a good question. Should I repeat the question? Or Jane asked if there are any plans to bring in somebody to replace the executive director. So at the moment, we are required by the conditions of one of our grants to have an executive director or somebody to manage the process of the renovation. And Efrat, our executive director, former executive director, has agreed to serve in that role. So she is actually still managing the renovation project on a contract basis. And the HR committee needs to meet. We discussed with the staff the idea of replacing Efrat, and the staff asked that we wait until after the high holidays before introducing another element into the configuration. Everything was working really well, and we wanted to just wait until after the high holidays. So the HR committee will meet now, and we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it at the board level. There is a possibility that we will bring somebody on a contract or part-time basis. Yes. John? Do you want the microphone? Yeah.
clarify that question about our grant that requires the executive director. I have worked with the Rodberg Foundation and trying to make them understand that an executive director may not be in our best interest, and to let them, okay. What? I'm sorry. Okay, I have been working with the Ronald S. Rodberg Foundation, which is the grant that includes executive director, to make them aware that an executive director may not be in our best interest, and to try to let that sort of slowly go away. So I don't think that we should act as if we're required to have an executive director, and I think the Rodberg Foundation will eventually agree with us that the funds that were going towards an executive director can go towards construction.
Thanks, John. Yeah. So basically, we're not required to have an executive director, but I think in discussions with the HR committee and the board, we will determine if it makes sense for us to hire somebody, perhaps not on a full-time basis, but on a part-time basis. One of the projects that the board has initiated is a sort of strategic visioning, and it would be extremely helpful, I think, to have someone to direct that process and help us out with it. So yeah, there is a candidate who we interviewed for the original executive director position, who has expressed her interest in possibly taking on a contract with us. And so, yeah, we have a couple of possibilities moving forward.
Thanks to both of you. My big concern was when you said that the board had to take on a lot of extra functions, because I'm aware of the fact that our staff, all of them are already stretched to the max, and you don't want to burn out volunteers either. And I know it costs money, and I know it causes challenges, but that's the only thing I'm concerned about, was that the work be divided in a way that is equitable and that allows us to continue to grow, but that is also truly sustainable. So,
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely on our radar. Any other questions? Marty?
Yeah, could you say what's happening with Shul Cloud?
Dave, do you have some input on that? Marty wanted to know what's happening with the transition to Shul Cloud, which is our new software that we're moving, our database that we're moving to from Power Church to Shul Cloud.
For many years, we've been surviving with an IT infrastructure that was cobbled together by John and myself, 20 years ago. A combination of a custom yahrzeit database, an accounting system that's called Power Church, which obviously doesn't understand very much about synagogues, and an e-commerce platform, which is our website. They're not integrated, and so that means a tremendous amount of duplication and double entry for Tracy in particular and for our bookkeeper. And we've been waiting for an integrated shul management system for many years, and we tried one and it didn't work out very well. Shul Cloud is a US-based company. We couldn't find a Canadian-based one, but it is very popular. There's over 200 synagogues in the US and Canada who are using it, including Sharet Tzedek, Beth Israel, and Temple Shalom. It's not a perfect system, but it certainly would mean much less work for our staff, particularly because it has accounts that each of us as members can log into and update our own family information, birth dates, and yahrzeits. There's a 6-phase transition to go to Shul Cloud. It's a very complicated transition plan because we need to preserve all your membership fees and your credit cards and all that stuff. And we're just working that through. Efrat is involved in consulting on that. We have an accounting group who's working on transitioning from Power Church to an accounting system. And at some point in the secular new year, you'll be invited to log into your Shul Cloud account and be instructed about how to log into the account, how to change your personal information and update your sites and birth dates and all that stuff. So that is the plan, and it will take, we think, we can be finished by we hope to be finished by high holidays next year, so that all the donations and registration is done in ShulCloud. But it's like everything, when you get into the details, it's very complicated, and Efrat and I are working on it with, and we're trying to not lay that burden on to Katie and Tracy at this point. And we just successfully moved the Yahrzeit database, and I can say that Tracy is delighted because it's actually less work for her than it was before, and hopefully we'll continue that trend of making less work for the staff. Partially, it's up to us to keep our information updated and not call the office every time we want to change some kind of date. Was that a question for me, Ed?
Are we also using ShulCloud for financial transactions? Because I know it has that capacity.
Yeah, phase 4 is the transition from using, well, phase 2 is moving from Power Church to QuickBooks, which is a more contemporary system. And phase 4 is moving all your accounts from the website onto ShulCloud. So yes, by this time next year, we hope to have all our accounts, receivable and payables, in ShulCloud and QuickBooks. Is that a good summary, Russell?
Yeah, maybe sooner. Like they're hoping maybe by the start of 2026, have that be this kind of cutoff point for issuing all receipts. But yeah.
Okay, Michal?
I'm just wondering who's doing all the data entry? Because it seems like it's tremendous.
That would be a question for Dave.
Efrat did most of that, and you'll do the rest.
Yeah. Efrat has made herself very much available to us for, carrying on with some of the bigger projects that she was involved in. Yeah, so, yeah, I think it also speaks to how, the kind of relationship that we have with Efrat. It's ongoing and it's very positive, yeah. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, Russell. Treasurer. I'll move.
All right, so I hope this is sufficiently legible. So hi, I think most of you know me, but my name is Russell Wong. I'm the treasurer for... All right. Of course. So how's that? All right. So I'm the treasurer for Or Shalom. I'm going to talk about 3 things: our financial management processes, our financial statements for the past fiscal year, so which ended on June 30th, and our budget for the current fiscal year. So on the financial management side, we continue to have a strong team with Tracy as our office manager, Wendy as our bookkeeper, and Marilyn as our external accountant. We also have an experienced finance committee with Fran joining John, Marty, Ohad, and Barry. I'd like to thank everyone for providing continuity and guidance, especially Tracy, Paul McCurry, our past treasurer, and Efrat, our former executive director, who played a large role in working out the budget this year. I should also mention that we have a separate strategic financial planning committee, which in particular is responsible for running the annual campaign. And I don't actually remember who the members of the SFPC are, but we're talking about consolidating and having a single finance committee, which includes both of those. So next I'd like to give an overview of our financial statements for the fiscal year, which ended on June 30th, prepared by Marilyn, our external accountant. So on the income side, me see if I can use this. Sorry, go ahead. This is the 24-25. Yes. Yeah, so all of this is, the bulk of this is going to be talking about the 24-25 financial statements. So on the income side, the key numbers are the membership dues, the annual campaign, and the total. So we had planned to take $32,000 out of designated funds in order to balance the budget. You can see the budget column has $32,000 under use of restricted funds, but that turned out to be unnecessary. On the expense side, the key number is salaries and benefits, which accounts for about 70% of the total. And this came in a bit lower than expected, you can see compared to the budget, because we didn't spend as much on contract teachers as we had allocated. We had planned for a surplus of about $10,000, but we ended up with a somewhat larger surplus of $20,000. Next, we have a couple charts for income and then expenses. On the income side, about half of our income is from membership dues, and about a third from the annual campaign. On the expense side, a bit less than 3/4 of our expenses are for salaries and benefits, with the remaining part divided between programs, office expenses, and other operational and financial expenses such as insurance. Turning to the balance sheet, the balance in the community fund, our main fund, as of June 30th, was $668,000. After subtracting transfers to other funds, about $45,000, revenue which was received early, and about $40,000, accounts payable about $35,000, and designated funds about $200,000. That leaves an unrestricted balance of about $350,000. So that's really kind of the key number. It's not so much the cash in the account, it's how much of it is not already designated. All right. Thanks, Gloria. For the renovation fund, we're tracking how much we've spent so far. Again, this is as of June 30th as opposed to right now. We're tracking how much we've spent so far on the renovation that's considered part of the building. About $1.05 million, including the accounts payable, and how much we have remaining in the renovation fund. So as of June 30th, it was about $1.36 million. So thank you to everyone for your generous contributions to the renovation project. The next slide shows our unrestricted fund balances. So for our main fund, it's about $350,000. And then this slide summarizes the income and expenses for the building fund, the benevolent fund, and the renovation fund. So the amounts for the building fund and the benevolent fund are relatively small compared to the main fund. And the expenses for the renovation fund shown here are operational expenses. So they're not considered part of the value of the building. And then finally, we have the budget for this fiscal year and our overall financial health assessment. So our practice up till now has been to aim for a break-even budget with revenue matching expenses. Once the renovation project is done, we're going to have a 15-year mortgage to pay off, which means we need to run a surplus of about $40,000 per year on top of, our current operational expenses. So for this year, we expect to start paying down the mortgage in the last quarter of this fiscal year. So we're aiming to run a surplus of about $10,000. So that's at the bottom there. We raised our membership contributions for the first time in 4 years by 7.5%. The last time we raised our fees was in July 2021, also by 7.5%. And we're also asking our Pay What You Can members to please reflect on the value that you place on Or Shalom as a community and to consider whether your capacity to pay has increased. If you're not sure how much would be appropriate, the usual suggestion is somewhere between 1% and 1.5% of gross household income. So thank you very much for contributing to Or Shalom. We want to be able to maintain Or Shalom as a community and as an institution, one that offers a unique place within Vancouver's Jewish community. Our overall financial health continues to be strong. As a general rule, we want to have an unrestricted cash balance that covers at least 6 months of expenses, excluding programs. So our unrestricted cash balance as of June 30th was $350,000. And then 6 months of expenses would be $220,000. So we have another $130,000 on top of that. Thank you very much. And I guess before we get to the vote, if we can have questions. David?
Thanks, Russell. I'm going to ask some questions about the budget, and then afterwards, I want to make a comment about our culture of philanthropy.
Sure.
I'm curious. I wasn't here for the high holidays this year. I'm very sorry, and I'm still waiting to get the file with Dalit's speech on it from Erev Yom Kippur, but said in jest. I'm curious about high holiday income. I don't know if that you included that in membership. That would be my first question. The second question has to do with the where we stand in terms of planned versus where we are to date with regards to the renovation and how we're spending that down.
So the first question about high holiday revenue. So it falls into the category of special events. So I think our budget, so this is not for the high holidays just passed, but for the high holidays for the previous year. So in fall of 2024.
How did we do this year compared to that?
I don't actually know if I have that number, but I will look that up. I think we did decently. Yeah. Great. Okay, thanks, Dave. There we go, 16,000. Sorry, the question was, what was the revenue from the high holidays this year? And Dave has the number, about $16,000. From people paying to attend the services. Is that revenue from people paying to attend the high holiday services or from the Tzedakah campaign? So it's from people who paid to attend the services. All right. And sorry, Michal, and then David's other question was about the current status of the renovation project. I think it's a little complicated to summarize. What kind of questions? Sorry, John, do you want to give a summary?
Yeah, what I've discovered in trying to run the finances of the renovation is that it's not like accounting. The costs are never fully solid until actually the thing is built. Right now, where we stand, we still sit with a shortfall of about $100,000 to complete construction. We are negotiating with BC Hydro on what the cost will be for the pad-mounted transformer, which we need to decarbonize the synagogue. And so our shortfall may be larger than 100,000, but we will not know that for another 2 or 3 weeks. I was going to report on the finances. I can do it really briefly now. Our congregation has been incredible. Congregation has contributed $1,550,000 towards this renovation. That's just incredible. The broader Jewish community has contributed close to $2,400,000. The Ronald S. Roberg Foundation's grant of $2,100,000 is the reason why we can do this construction. Otherwise, we would not be doing it. The Jewish Community Foundation has come through. The Lusky Family Foundation has come through, and the Phyllis and Irving Snyder Foundation have all come through with donations between $100,000 and $150,000. That's the finances of the renovation. Yes.
Mention was made of the mortgage. How much is the principal of the mortgage?
Right now, we're expecting a $400,000 mortgage, but there's a bit of a wrinkle in that. And should I wait to the report of the renovation committee? I can give it right now. We applied for and received a $100,000 U.S. interest-free loan from Adama in the U.S. They reported in their last newsletter that we will be the only fully decarbonized synagogue in the North American Climate Action Fund.
We are already on the map. Yoni Gordis, whose daughter lives in Boston, was approached by one of her friends saying, "Do you know anything about this Or Shalom synagogue in Vancouver, the first decarbonized shul in North America?" So apparently we are already on the map as the first decarbonized shul on this continent, which is amazing.
So the goal is to use that loan from Adama to reduce the loan that we have to take from RBC. But right now, it's still in fluctuation. Still in flux.
Thank you very much, John. And thank you for all your leadership on the renovation project.
So I heard that there's going to be additional, like, did you say $40,000 more we'll have to add a year?
Correct.
So what is the plan?
Basically, I would say our usual practice is to say we're going to aim for a break-even budget, and then what usually happens is, we usually have somewhat ambitious plans for programs and so on, and then we end up not actually spending that much money and running a surplus. So in order to, so basically with a $400,000 mortgage amortized over 15 years at kind of the current interest rate, we need to pay about $40,000 a year to pay it off over 15 years. So the plan is basically to kind of run a tight ship and try to whenever we're working out the budget for each year and trying to, talking about how much staffing can we support an executive director salary versus, okay, this is our estimate of how much our financial capacity is. I guess I'm thinking the finance committee will be more inclined to say no when it comes to can we take on more things unless we have some additional matching funding source. I hope that's a reasonable answer. No?
Can I comment on that?
Sure, go ahead, Mira.
I just want to say that I think that there is awareness that more money will have to be raised and not just programs cut or tightened, and that we are, as a board, exploring questions around membership dues and fees for attending high holiday services, maintaining the values and practices overall of Or Shalom, being an accessible community, but also making aware that the synagogue costs money to run and that we need to explore how to maintain our revenue and our programming and cover the costs. And so I think there's a lot of work right now going into how to do that, and how to do that in a way that, again, reflects the values of the shul, but also increases our revenues, which are required.
Right. So yes, thanks, Mira. I should have also mentioned that we did approve of the membership dues increase for exactly this reason. That we had not raised it for the previous 4 years, and so we decided to raise it by 7.5%. Go ahead, Pat.
Do you know how much our original mortgage was when we buy it?
How much was it? Nobody remembers. When was the mortgage?
Well, the mortgage was paid off. When was it paid off?
It was the last year you were treasurer. It was the last year you were treasurer. It was paid off. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's true. Yes, most of the renovation is paid for. Yeah.
Can you call it more or instead of renovation? It sounds a little bit sexier.
Thanks, David. Sure. Go ahead, Martin.
Many of us who are sitting here had to put money into the building fund when we became members.
Yes.
And there was a certain amount that we had to fulfill, and I think all of us sitting here probably did. Is that still a practice? Because
Yes.
that money is necessary for the maintenance of the building once it's built.
Correct. That is correct. So yes, that is separate. We have a separate building fund. And yes, that is dedicated to the future operation the future maintenance and repair, I should say, of the building after the renovation is complete. Go ahead.
There are people ahead of me. I don't know anyone lost their question. Oh. You were ahead of me? Go. Oh. I just wanted to know if we have, I don't know if it's supposed to be held for the later discussion, but also a fund for all the anticipated, unanticipated funds that come with the renovation when you finally get in it.
Yes, so there's a contingency included in the renovation budget of about 10%, 12%.
We keep a contingency of 12.5%. We keep a contingency of 12.5% of all the forecasted costs going forward. And that contingency is one of our costs. So when I say that there's a shortfall, the shortfall is in fact, the contingency is one of the costs. The shortfall now is less than the contingency going forward. So if in fact the contingency is not needed, we don't have a shortfall, but I am sure that contingency will be spent because every week something comes up which requires a call on the contingency.
So I have a comment and a couple of questions about the report. And that is that there are lots of grants out there. I mean, I'm sure that the board has thought about this, but it takes a lot of time and energy to search out the grants and to write the applications. So there's another argument in terms of getting a good contract person. And even though you're spending money, then that person might be able to source the funds that
for sure. Yeah,
support the contracts.
We actually got $25,000 in grants.
Yeah. And there's lots more out there for programming and stuff.
Right.
So my questions are, first of all, where does tzedakah show up here? Because that's an in and out, and I don't know where it is.
Correct. It's actually an in and out, so that I believe it doesn't show up at all. So donations that are received for tzedakah go straight to kind of a liability account that then is discharged when we actually disperse the funds.
Okay, well, this probably isn't general accounting principles, but as a member of the TOCC, I'd love it if it could show up somewhere because it's something that we recommend disbursement of, and we're never 100% sure of how much is there. You know, we are, but it's where is it that we've got here? Does it say tzedakah?
Oh, it's probably in some.
Anyway.
All right.
Anyway, it would be lovely to see it because I think that's an important part of what our community gives as well.
All right. I mean, the TOCC does sort of have the recommendations and the amount each year. So maybe we should just have that as a, doesn't necessarily have to be part of the
as a PS
accounting
or
statements,
something.
but you know, as a slide at least.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I'm just saying it would be
highlight it.
Great to see it. Yeah.
Sure.
And the other thing was that I noticed that there was a huge drop in the amount of money between 2024 and 2025 for the Rabbi's Discretionary Fund.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if that was causing any problems.
I think that was. You're
it's
thinking
like
of this
I'm on the building on the last page that I've got here.
Okay.
Expenses, bank charges, rabbis benevolent fund depreciation, et cetera.
Right.
So that's how much was spent rather than how much is in there?
Correct.
Okay, I misunderstood, sorry.
Right. Okay, thanks, Jane. All right. Go ahead, David. Or
Just because I don't think we're going to be talking about fundraising per se in anybody's comments. We began our annual campaign 14 or 15 years ago, and I think there's been a real change in the culture of philanthropy in Or Shalom, and I think it is what enabled us to be able to embark upon more Or and to reach the heights that we did. We still have so much more capacity and potential. And I heard somebody whisper in my ear before that there's a thinking about combining the Strategic Financial Planning Committee and the Finance Committee. And I know that Efrat had talked about something along those lines beforehand. I think that even though we've come a long way, we need to integrate the language of philanthropy more into our everyday lives. Yesterday was wonderful. Yesterday was a perfect example of what I call living generously. And living generously means giving of your time, energy, and effort to lead the community, but it also means contributing while you're going along. And I think that we need to create awareness and avenues, be it through the lay leadership or the professional leadership of the synagogue, to make those things happen. More Or is not a one-off. The annual campaign is not a one-off. I'm very happy to see that you budgeted lower this year, because whenever you budget lower, we raise way more, right? But I think that the whole basis of our community is of conversations and building community, and it's really important when we orient our new members and people that are becoming part of the shul, that they understand the whole concept of tzedakah and giving back in terms of perpetuating our very small synagogue, because working in the community and seeing the kind of footprint that so many other synagogues have, and we're not aspiring to be like them, but it means that each of us have to think about how we do that. And the other piece I just want to mention is that one of the things that we had started working on about 5 or 6 years ago was also creating a legacy program. And there are people that have put Or Shalom into their wills and into their estate planning, but it's really important that we keep this top of mind for people. And I mean, obviously grants like Jane mentioned, but I think that it just needs to become more a part of our way of life, using our kind of language, right? Like our listening campaign, our annual campaign is not something which is, strangling for people, but it's important that it happens throughout the year and that we do that together. So I want to, on one hand, give us a big pat on the back, and on the other hand, we have to keep developing our muscles in terms of our culture of philanthropy.
All right, thank you very much, David. Yeah, no, that's very important to keep in mind. All right, any further questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve the financial statements for 2024, 2025, ending June? Sorry, go ahead, Jane. Thank you. I guess all in favor, or any opposed? All right, thank you. Motion is carried. Of course.
Okay. Thank you, Russell. I know it's challenging to have all these numbers in your head. You never quite know what to expect from the kahal. So thank you for handling all that very adroitly, and thank you everybody for your input. We certainly, the minutes will reflect the suggestions that were made, and I also wanted to acknowledge, that yes, we are, one of the reasons of perhaps bringing in a part-time executive director is around the topic of grants and grant writing. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is a report from the campaign team. I guess the annual campaign, which I think we've sort of covered. Are there any questions about that we would need to look at more specific numbers? Okay.
Do you want me to say something about it?
I think Russell just showed the income from the campaign. Linda, do you want to add anything around the campaign?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. In the report that I gave to the community towards the end of the summer, I wrote a report and summarized, and I included the totals that we were able to raise for the past 3 years. And it was much higher 3 years ago, but for obvious reasons. And I'm looking forward to our campaign that launches again at Pesach this coming year. People were giving money to Israel and they didn't have money to give to Or Shalom, that's why. And several people who are usually large donors were having, thank you, Dave, were having some concerns about the politics and made less contributions than they had. 3 years ago, the campaign raised about 160,000. And 2 years ago it was 130. This year our total's around 120. I'm hoping that in the spring everyone will be really excited about moving to the new bay and everything will be just great, and we'll talk about how the wonderful things we can do there, and gosh, we need some money to do it. And I'm hoping that our campaign will start to go up again. So I think we'll do quite well in the coming year.
Anything to add, David?
Yeah, we're coming out of the More Or campaign, so that will obviously make it easier. But I think that the beauty and the centrality of the campaign has been telling the story of Or Shalom. And if you just take a snapshot from yesterday and what has happened in the past year, we know that the feedback that the community gave to the board was how openly everyone had embraced our new rabbi and how much that had improved the mood and the spirit at the shul. And I think that building upon that and building upon the achievements of the past year, I think people know those things, but you have to come and point them out, right? Not everybody notices when you get a haircut, right? So you have to tell people, we had a haircut and we did this and we had, 7 people that had a simchat mitzvah and we've expanded this and that, and that these things, right, are wonderful, and you're so lucky to belong to this community and help us grow. And I think that we have a lot of stories to tell in that regard. The challenge always is to be able to find the opportunities to engage and tell those stories with people. And that's why I'm saying that if those stories come through in our way of life, then when the time comes to ask people to give, then it makes it much easier. And so I think that we have a lot to build upon, and that we should have a much stronger campaign this year with all of your help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. I also just wanted to mention that, there's also possibilities after we move back to our bite of looking at other rental opportunities of spaces at our shul. So that might be something that we can look into once we get back and get ourselves organized. There are many possibilities. We also have been working quite closely with Federation on closing the shortfall between our monies that we had in hand and what our estimated costs were. And even though they had some staff changes which made things a little not pan out as we thought, I think we have a good relationship with Federation now, and they are willing to open their arms to us if we go back to them and need to complete our shortfall.
Have we seen any money from the Federation?
Pardon?
Have we seen any money from the Federation?
We haven't seen, well, we do get grants from the Federation, small grants, but I think they have acknowledged the importance of the place of Or Shalom in the Jewish community in Vancouver, and the relationship is ongoing and I think open for more development. But we'll see. I think we just need to be open to those possibilities.
Linda, is your report on the website?
Jay, I don't know if it's on the website, but it was put out in the door towards the end of August. I can put it on the website, sure. It's just a one-pager that summarizes the past 3 years of the income and then the highlights of what people were talking about this year. Sure. Okay.
Excellent. Anything else, Avi?
Thank you. I have a certain unclarity in my mind about the annual campaign, which has been going on for, I just hear 14, 15 years, and was always explained to us as a way of gathering money and of gathering feedback and comments. And every year at the AGM, we hear about the money, but we don't hear about the feedback and the comments. And perhaps that is in Linda's report. I want to, ask about or stress that I would be interested to know what people have had to say. Obviously, this has been a very stressful year, and one of the comments probably had to do with, divisions within us, which mirror divisions within the Jewish community broadly. But beyond that, excluding that perhaps, I would be interested to know what, over the past several years, people have had to say. And what we tend to do, and as David had just done, is we say, oh, well, we've done this, we've done that, we've done that. We always highlight the good, which is wonderful. It's a growth opportunity. But we don't hear what the unhappinesses were. We have a tendency to downplay that, or get embarrassed or feel that it's not constructive for the community to report back that people were unhappy about the furniture, the quality of the kiddush, or, I don't know, the haircut of the rabbi, which I think is wonderful. So I'm making a pitch here or a question about, I believe as a community, we deserve to hear what the community is saying about itself.
And concerns that were raised are included. I'm off. Okay. Concerns, concerns that were raised in the context of the listening campaign are reflected in the report. I will put the report on the website, for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the community for your candid feedback because, Linda put together, the canvassers took detailed notes and there were a lot of things that were raised and we had a lot of discussion at the board. Obviously for privacy reasons, Linda just summarized the main themes, but we really appreciated the detail that people gave us about some of the concerns that they had.
This is just because I didn't get it. So what I heard is that the amount halved from what it was 2 years ago. That's why I'm asking for clarification.
3 years ago was about 160. 2 years ago was about 130. This year we're 120. And we close the year on April 1st, which is on or about Pesach, the start of Pesach. So that's what we're working on right now. Anybody else?
On the subject of our relationship with the Jewish Federation of Greater Vancouver. When we had Emmett Davis on our board several years ago, she made a point that I thought was very helpful to hear, which is the more Federation sees our involvement in the Vancouver Jewish community, the more likely they are to be responsive to our requests for additional funding. And so she was encouraging board members at the very least to show up at community events that are put on by or involve the Federation. And it could very well be that all of you people are already doing that in all kinds of different ways. So I'm not trying to say you have to do something new, but I have the impression that Or Shalom is in some ways less integrated to Vancouver's Jewish community than some other congregations. For example, we're less likely to have children attending VTT. So I encourage people when they can, and if they're interested, to take the opportunity to show up at broader Jewish community events. And if possible, to make your annual donation to the Federation. You know, they're same as Or Shalom, they want to see participation rather than volume. So, you know, if you can make an $18 donation and note that you're a member of Or Shalom, that has value. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
I just want to make a point in response to that, because I think that what makes Or Shalom unique is being exactly who we are, both for and in the community, whether we choose to participate more broadly or whether we choose to be exactly who we are and the way that we're Jewish. And I don't think of donation from Federation should be contingent on our participation. In fact, I think that Federation should see the unique value that Or Shalom provides to the Vancouver Jewish community, which they don't provide in many cases, and we have created for ourselves. And I think that our kids attending public school or Jewish day school is both of equal value, both to our own community and to the broader community. And I feel strongly about the role that Or Shalom plays in Vancouver's community as a whole, and wonderful if people feel called to be involved in other aspects of the Jewish community, wonderful, and if they don't, also wonderful that they have a home here.
Thank you, Mira. Okay, so if there are no further comments or questions, I'm going to move on to the update on the board, the composition of the board. So we have one resigning board member, actually a board member who's completed his term, Marty Putterman, and he will be leaving the board this year. Marty, your insight and deep knowledge of this community has been invaluable, as has your deep commitment to the clarity and complexity of the cemetery and burial issues of our community. Thanks to you and your committee, there are answers to many important questions about death and dying that our members have. Thank you for your time, thoughtfulness, and compassion. Yes, Yasher Koach. And I hope we can still rely on you for those questions about what happened 12 years ago. So because we have one retiring board member this year, and the board felt that we've had many, many difficult transitions over the past year. And we've been incredibly fortunate that the almost entire board has agreed to stay on for another year, which is why we do not have any new board members on the slate this year. We are in conversation with a number of members who are interested in joining the board and who have agreed to serve on committees this year and put their names forward for board membership next year. And on the board, we felt that this was okay for this year. It was important to have the continuity in moving back to the Bayit and completing the renovation. Things are in place and are working well. So because we are voting on the same, almost all the same board members, we are just reducing the number of board members from 10 to 9 for this year. And we are required to move to have a motion to approve the change of the numbers of the board of directors. So I'm just calling for someone to move that we approve the change from 10 board members to 9 board members. Fran? Thank you. Are there any opposed?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Simply, will we be setting ourselves up for a situation next year that like 4 people will be stepping down because their years will be completed, and that next year we will need a large contingent, and that we will therefore not have the overlap of continuity which has been beneficial? Are we setting up that situation?
I guess that's possible. There are a large number of people who are serving the second term of their 2-year term. There are also a number of people on this board who have only served 1 term, which is kind of unusual for us. Most people will serve 2 to 3 terms. So I think it's possible, but I hope not. And we will work during the year, the board year, to ensure that there is the continuity. That's about yeah. The numbers are what they are.
I'd just like to comment on that from a governance perspective. It is a problem that has developed for various reasons that I can't now recall. And it should be fixed so that there isn't a turnover of 8 out of 9 members of the board any one year. It should be about half. And the only way to fix it is for people to be elected for 1 year or 3 years, and it would require a special resolution. But I do think it's something for the new board to attend to. It's important.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for raising that issue, Avi. So can we just have a vote on a motion to change the number of board members from 10 to 9? Any opposed? Okay, so that's unanimously passed. So the board members entering their second year of a 2-year term are Elena Banfield, Abby Fitch, Carol Ann Freed, myself, Dahlia Marguerite Faircloth, Mira Orek, Sally Thorne, and Russell Wong. The board members, 2 board members seeking a second term are Avril Orloff and Jody Eaton. Okay, so we vote by affirmation of this motion to elect this board to the board of directors for next year. Sorry?
It's already elected.
No.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Basically, it's well, we always vote on the whole slate as a whole. So even though, yes, the 7 members are just serving the second of their 2-year term, the 2 members that are standing for re-election need to be voted in.
So if somebody has to make a motion to elect the board.
So we need someone to move to vote by affirmation for this slate. Mira, thank you. Any opposed? Oh, okay. You're definitely not standing for the board, David? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so any opposed? Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for your confidence. Okay, so now we're going to move to the committee reports. Do you want to take a short break?
No, I want no, because it's 12:25 and we have to
Just to point out, just to point out that all of the committee reports are on the website. That page has been shared with you all, and we can remind you again where you can look for the detailed reports. So what we're asking from anybody who is here to present a report right now is just to present a brief summary in any way, shape, or form that you wish to do so. Because we don't have a whole lot of time.
I do think it's important to actually hear from the membership committee, because the membership committee can also speak to some of the what's happened with the membership over the last year. Carol Ann, are you okay to do just a summary report of the membership committee? Yeah, let's just start with membership, because I think that's important for us to hear about what's been happening with the membership over the last year.
Go.
Oh.
Caroline set the standard.
Just so you know, the members of our committee are Kathy Brandon, who's chair but couldn't be present, which is why I'm doing this report. Joseph Zaid, Devin Kettle, who is here after yesterday, yay. And Deborah Ross, Henry Grayson, Jane Willichuk, Pedro Santos, and I am the board liaison. New members growing, kindness is showing, spirit is glowing at Or Shalom. New bite coming, constructions humming, even new plumbing in our new home. Meeting each quarter year, ratifying brings a cheer, welcoming members dear, hip, hip, hooray. We welcome 33, 13 bye-byes were community dinners on Friday nights, our idea. We picnicked and danced and sang, welcoming voices rang, blessings and candles, such holy light. Sukkot, so much joy, our new members gathered here, gifts of honey, sweet new year. We looked up and saw the sky, time to let our worries fly. Celebrate, celebrate with all members new and old. Now coming soon, our plans are grand, welcoming packages being scanned. Elders as teacher look for this feature, a brand new program is being planned. Buddies are on their way, new friends are born today, in shul together, sitting side by side. Katie and Reb Barik joined us with their technique, orientation, soon to be our guide. And for all our members, Mishkan circles, ritual from Torah, and there will be a plethora, engagement times, new paradigms, conversations on Shabbat. So celebrate, celebrate, membership at Or Shalom.
Okay, great. So are there any questions for Caroline? Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to run down the list, and if there are any questions, or if the chair would like to come up and do a brief summary. Song and Dance, Ahora, Swan Lake, Cemetery.
Very tough act to follow. So just for a couple of highlights about the cemetery, just to get you up to date. The cemetery was started in about 2013 and dedicated in 2017. And the committee has been very active. To date, 21 out of 64 plots have been sold. That's the important number. So there's space is limited. And that led to a revision of the policies for the past year. So a lot of issues have come up that we didn't anticipate at the beginning, but the key issue was that we wanted to make sure that all plots will be shared from the future. So that's going to be an issue. There's some technical points to work out with Mountain View, but we're doing that. The other two main things that have happened are that an Or Shalom auxiliary Hever Kadisha was established during the past year, and it's not an alternative Hever Kadisha, but an auxiliary. It's for cases that will not be handled by the community or the Sharat Zedek Hever Kadisha. But the committee keeps going on working. Things come up all the time we didn't anticipate, and a lot about about how long you have to be a member before you join. Now the guidelines are that you have to be a member in the current year, a member in the past year, and 5 years in total. So a delicate issue is what happens if somebody has joined, if somebody joins Or Shalom but dies before they've been members, how we deal with that. Because guiding it, I mean, there's a trade-off of our halakhic principles with space and reality. So we're trying to balance that in a delicate way, and we're working hard to make that happen. I want to thank Marianne Rev, who isn't here today, for her service on the committee. She's been a member from the beginning, very dedicated, and thank you, Marianne. And it's an amazing committee. It's really an amazing committee, and I'm very proud to represent it in some way or other.
The auxiliary, this is going red, so it's losing its charge. I'm not on it, but the auxiliary Chevra Kadisha is in need of more men on the men's team. So anyone here who is interested or knows someone who you think would be interested in serving our community, we don't expect there to be a lot of need, but there will be some, and if they are, please contact Yoni Gordis.
Thank you. Thanks, Marty. Family, Youth, and Child, Jody.
Okay, so my report is short, which is that pretty much over this past year, all but 2 of the members of the committee left Or Shalom or left the committee for one reason or another. Unfortunately, usually due to either really busy like home life and things going on, moving away. So one piece of news that we do have that was published in the DOAR but not formally announced is that there has been the hiring of an education director who is Carla Frankel, and she has been
that's a definite woohoo. And so I have been talking to her as one of the two remaining members of the Family and Youth Committee with her and Rabbi Arik. And so we're going to be bringing some proposals for how to provide what the Family and Youth Committee was providing for families without necessarily the creation of a working committee, which seems to be a little bit beyond the capacity of a lot of people who are in that family, youth, and child portion of their lives. So that is all.
Thank you, Jody. And Jody has agreed to stay on for another term on the board, for which we are most grateful. She had to get permission from her family, but they provided it, and we're very happy to welcome Jody back. The next is the Gemilut Chesed Committee. Pat?
Does anyone in this room not know what Gemilut Chesed does? Don't be ashamed. Raise your hand. Marty doesn't know. Okay. So we are a small group of hands-on people, all women, by the way, who coordinate 100 volunteers to provide services for people, our members, who are having a challenging time and need some extra help. So we have about 100 volunteers. Our ranks were raised this year because of the survey that we did. We got great responses. And we have these people who are just standing ready to help with things like preparing meals, giving rides, caring for a pet, lending a sympathetic ear during the year of mourning. And this year we hope to take that questionnaire and integrate it into the new member package, which I guess we'll be working with membership, I hope, so that as new members come on, they get this questionnaire, and we know right away what their interests are, and we can, they will have the same opportunities to do all these wonderful mitzvot for our community. We couldn't do these things without all those generous volunteers. We are only 5 people, so we count on our volunteers. We also count on our rabbi, and we couldn't do this without your collaboration, Rabbi Arik, and your trust in us to carry some of this information and be there for people who need it. So that's us. Any questions? Avi.
Thanks, Matt. I'm not too sure if you're the person I wanted to ask, but it seems to make sense. A few years ago, Ross Endelman began a service group within here of people who are prepared to sit with folks who are in grief. Does that still function? And that's been basically my question.
Yes. And that's what I was referring to when I said to lend a sympathetic ear. So it's called the Nakama Project. And Tilly and I have been sort of taking over Ross's position because he sort of ran the whole thing. But it's moving forward, and it is we have people who are willing to meet with people in mourning for that year of mourning, listen, just be there for them. So that offer does go out to everyone who experiences a loss. It does. It is still happening. Thank you. Did you want to say something, Tilly? No. Okay. Any other questions? Well, I have some questions. When you're stuck in bed, hold on, I have to find my questions. When you're in rehab and you're feeling sad, who are you going to call? Bingo. When you're stuck in bed and you need that med, who are you going to call? Excellent. When you're sick as poop and you've craved some soup, who you gonna call? Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'm hopeless at this stuff. Anyway, thank you so much, Pat. That was great. The next committee is OSRI. David, do you want to say a few words?
I'm not going to sing. I thought about Born Free, but it doesn't fit here. 4 or 5 points. First of all, OSRI is a Mishkan circle. This is about who we are as a community, which is sponsoring and accompanying refugees. I just want to mention that Leslie Wagman, Sue Block, Morris Block, Sam Znamer, Lisa Richland, Sandy Berman, Abby Fitch, and myself are the members of the committee. We are imminently looking at probably 6 or 7 people coming in the next 4 or 5 months. It's a lot of work. It's who we are. We have punched above our weight in this community. And the truth is that, with all due respect to the awful situation that always exists in the world around refugees, nobody wants the people from Sudan. And we're taking people that are coming from Sudan. And I say this just because there were people that were suggesting that we should take refugees from other places, which are not possible right now. This was an open program through the Government of Canada that we decided to become a part of, and there are just not takers. So it's really, this is a mitzvah of mitzvot, and it's really, really good for us. And I'm very hopeful that next Shabbat that we will have a good group of people that we can help assign to meaningful volunteer tasks so that they can help teach English, help find housing, and integrate people that are probably going to be living in Surrey, my guess, because that's where the Small Sudanese Committee exists. And we will have on Shabbat a quick overview of the community, but we will be focusing more on tasks. And I just want to thank everybody for your support.
Thanks, David. For some of us that can't get to shul every Shabbos, could you have the list circulated along with the door so that those of us who may want to be able to volunteer or who may be able to do A, B, or C are available to do it?
And we'll try and figure out how we can best do that. I don't know if the door is necessarily the way to do that, but I will mention it to the other members of the committee. Thank you, Fran. Any other questions?
I would suggest that anybody who wants to volunteer, whether or not they can actually attend that meeting, should write to OSRI and let you know, because I know there's a list being created. There's a volunteer form that you can fill out that says what you can or don't want to do, and then somebody will call on you.
Can we get that form to Fran? Thank you. Do you want to see something? Sure.
Just to make it easy, you can contact the office and they will forward your information to me because I'm assembling the distribution list, or if anybody wants to reach me directly, please do so.
We've been very fortunate to have Abby as a board liaison. She's learned a lot about sponsoring refugees.
Thank you, David, and thank you for your ongoing commitment to helping people come to this country and be part of Canadian life.
Just channeling the people of Or Shalom.
Tikkun Olam, Mary. Mary is the chair of the Tikkun Olam committee. Avril is the liaison on the board.
I think this is the first time that I've spoken through a mic. I think this is the first time I've ever stood in front of you to just talk. So, I'm very sad to tell you that this year the Tikkun Olam committee could not bring in world peace. We could not get rid of hunger. We couldn't do a lot of stuff, but I'll tell you what we did do. We collected tzedakah last year for 6 different organizations. That I think we collected something like about close to $12,000. So we were able to give $2,000 to each of those organizations. This year, sadly to say, we only collected $5,700. So there's going to be a decrease to those organizations. And I think you can understand why there was that decrease. What we had also done for the tzedakah part of Tikkun Olam is we had a women's and children's clothing drive during Purim, and we'll probably have the same this year. Clothing drive. We had 3 tishes, one with Raven BC, one with Pride Listening Circle, and we also had the Metro Vancouver Alliance tish. Our indigenous stream had, we had a very creative Tu B'Shvat Seder for here I go again. I'm gonna start this started. Hold on. That integrated indigenous fruits and vegetables and Jewish ones for Tu B'Shvat. We're going to have another one this year. It's going to be exciting. We framed the 2 land acknowledgements. We reminded people around Orange Day and Pink Day. We invited Cityview to our blanket exercise that was very well attended. It was a combination of Indigenous oppression in Canada and Jewish oppression in Canada. And it was fabulous. It went a bit too long, but it was still fabulous. We helped our youth and collect food for the downtown east side. And we did a Hanukkah drive with socks. So we collected over 400 pairs of socks. And we're going to have, in the next couple of weeks, socks with Cityview Church hanging around. Maybe we can get more than 400. I'm so nervous. Our plan for this year is again bringing in world peace. Thank you. With your help, I'm sure it's going to happen. Anyway, we're going to do a sock drive. We're going to do Tu B'Shvat. We're going to get a whole bunch of tishes going again. And our committee members are Michal, Jane, Avril sometimes, Carla, Aaron, and Chava, Maxine. And we're all kind of part-time-ish, not part-time-ish. We do what we want to do. Thank you. Questions?
Sometimes we kind of freelance on the side. So I had a graphic recording job with the Musqueam Indian Band in October, and I mentioned to one of the fellows there that, because he was a Sparrow, and I asked him if he was related to Huilemia, who was advising us on the land acknowledgement. And he said, they're all cousins. So I told him what we were doing in Shul, and he was very excited about, in particular, the Tu B'Shvat thing, where if we, just basically saying that we're sort of opening more doors within the Indigenous community here, and they seem to like what we're doing.
Thank you, Averill and Mary, for your fearless leadership in this area. The Renovation and Expansion Task Force, John.
I've already spoken about the finances, so I won't speak about that anymore. If anyone is interested in looking at the detail of the finances with me, I would love to share my spreadsheet with you, and perhaps you can squeeze some more dollars out of it than I can.
Is that like a blanket exercise?
My report is on the website, so you can see it, but I would like to thank the committee especially, who's stuck with this. First, Afrat Gail Or. Afrat has, after resigning as executive director, has agreed to stay on as project coordinator, and she is the main coordinator with our general contractor, Novacom. It's wonderful having Afrat doing that. Ron Einblau has joined the renovation committee recently, and Martin and Russell have both been on this committee for how many years? 7, 8 years. They've been on it from the start, and thank them to be on it. Rabbi Arik is on the committee now. I don't know if you know that officially, but you're a member of the committee. And Dahlia is on the committee, and Sally is on the committee. So that is the Or task force. Thank you all.
Thank you, John. And I know, John, over the years, you've received lots of kudos and thanks for doing this, but truly, truly, when we get back to the bite, it's going to be because of you. So thank you. And the last committee is our newly formed Shomrim, or security, and Abby is leading the charge on that one.
Thank goodness there were a few others who gave verbal reports before this, so I'm not the first to follow the song and dance. What did I want to say? Right, I submitted a written report to go on the link to the website, but I submitted it very late, so I'm going to recap it, but it's brief. The Shomrim Committee comprises Lynn Safri, myself, and Regina Howard v. Estiva, also going by her Hebrew name, Noga Erel. We began active work on October 4th. Our goal is to have 1 or 2 trained volunteers at all larger events, including Shabbat and holiday services. We currently have 1 active volunteer and 5 individuals interested in joining, in addition to ourselves. We work with the Jewish Federation of Greater Vancouver in a variety of ways, including receiving and addressing reports of unusual activity and offering training sessions. We strive to engage Or Shalom members and visitors in a way that helps people feel welcome and safe. The committee encourages everyone at Or Shalom to take security seriously to ensure the safety and wholeness of our community. I guess I would add that I'm very happy to say we've been fortunate to not experience any security issues of a political nature. The only one incident that I'm aware of was excluding a non-member, a visitor who had inappropriate behavior. So that's the only time we've ever actually had to do anything so far.
So please correct me if I'm wrong, but we have received Federation funds for security, haven't we? Like every other shul, especially during this couple of years. And also, didn't we in the past also receive money for this? I mean, I really don't know the answers to this, for the security cameras and other issues that we were addressed in our synagogue with Federation money. And the reason I'm asking these questions that I felt like we had, and I don't know the answers to my questions, and that we're not being supported by Federation, but I actually think that we are more than I think, but maybe I don't know.
Okay, to answer your, Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, there have been security grants from Federation in the past. I don't have the information at my fingertips, but you're right, definitely involved in setting up the security system at the Bait. Okay, Russell's going to speak to that, but I guess, so speaking about most currently, what I'm aware of is Federation is paying for a certain number per year of Or Shalom members to go through the security guard training at the Justice Institute. So that's like a $300 per person gift.
Yeah, but they're not providing us with any volunteers. We don't have any volunteers for Bitachon like I've been sitting on.
I'll talk about that.
I'd like to, thank you.
No, you answer.
Sure. So yeah, we had a summary from Federation of over the last fiscal year. Thank you. Yeah, we had $25,000 from Federation in total, and that included $10,000 in a security grant.
All right. So regarding Bitachon, which is the volunteer corps of security volunteers organized and trained by Federation, we haven't asked for Bitachon to be here very often. We did benefit from Bitachon volunteers at our, thank you, the Pride Shabbat picnic in Trout Lake. And Bitachon is actually moving to a model of trying to have people from each community get trained, receive the standard training and equipment, and then do service at their own communities. And of course, they're welcome to do service at other events elsewhere in the Jewish community, but they're thinking it'll be most successful having people trained in-house, but receiving standardized training. Thanks, everybody.
I think we should rename the committee. Buy Watch.
Thank you, David. Also, just wanted to answer, respond to Michal. There were a lot of discussions about using Bitachon at our services, and the fact of the matter is that because they don't know our community, we would have to have someone stand with them, and so it became a sort of. It meant that we should have our own people rather than them to. Right, so that's why we're opening up the Bitachon training to our members. And we've had a wonderful group of people responding, and it's been really a pleasure to see people who normally wouldn't, who wouldn't participate in something, being enthusiastic about helping to keep us safe and getting to know the community. So it's a wonderful opportunity to have that training, because it can be used outside of Or Shalom. People can use it to be security guards at other places. Okay, so it's now 12:58, and unless there are any other burning issues or burning questions, I am going to adjourn this AGM. So before I do that, any questions, any comments? No, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you all. And thank you, Linda, for being our runner.
I just said, I'll take your place. What do we do with the chairs?
Yes, please put the chairs back if you can. You only have to take your own chair and maybe one other. So I'm calling this meeting to a close. I'm adjourning at 1 p.m. Thank you all. Thank you for coming.